at least two questions for me. Thinking media, theoretically, should have started, when we have this in mind, latest when we began to act as machines and started to follow programs. The second question is closely connected. If you allow, I articulate it right now. If the man-machine relation functions nearly perfect as it does as the moment, as an interdependence, is this dualism, man-machine, still relevant for your argument? Or, you know that this is one very prominent position within media theory at the moment, or do we have simply to write code as the contemporary form of media theory, which would be the consequence when the dualism doesn't work anymore and it's not important, relevant?
I think we are confronted in our culture, at least on the level of imagination, yeah, which is for me much more interesting than the level of reality, because imagination has its own history and its own power. Yeah, so I'm interested in the mechanism of imagination more than the mechanism of reality. Now, if we look at how our imagination functions, there are two processes that take place at the same time, that imagined by us. Yeah? Okay. One process is what you said. It is accommodation of human beings and the machine. So it human being becoming machine. Yeah, and we have that also as an art practice. Yeah, I want to be machine. Yeah, it's old slogan of many also artists after the World War II. Not only
the first Russian
first Russian avant-garde, but then it was repeated
yeah.
many times in different ways in different contexts. What maybe in context of what I made in this book, what's more interesting for me even is machine becoming human beings. That means machine becoming evil. What are human beings are fundamentally evil. Yeah, so why machines are fundamentally not evil and human beings are evil? Machines are not evil because they're stupid. They are stupid because they're living in paradise and they don't know that they can die. Yeah? They don't know that they can be switched off. So if the people, if the people saying machine can be intelligent, machine is stupid because machine is like Adam in the paradise. He doesn't know that he has no evil, whatever, that instructs him of a possibility of his death and introduce death into the world. At the moment death is introduced into the world and the possibility of one's own inexistence is solved, then the machine begins to protect itself and begin to destroy humans, begin to fight for its own survival. That is something that Kubrick already describes in his movie and so on. So we have two conflicting images. One image is humans being more and more stupid, and more stupid means immortal, yeah, because the immortal is stupid. Yeah. Or machine becomes intelligent, that means evil, self-protecting, and destructive. Yeah. Okay. Now, one is techno-discourse, as we know. Second one is sci-fi plus a certain kind of conspiracy theory. So what I really was long time interested in, and I think that interest, I was always interested in spiritism and things like that, but I was always interested in conspiracy theory, in the structure of conspiracy theory. So what is the place of conspiracy theory in our thinking? And in the book, the main presupposition is this one. So in a classical thinking, so classical before certain moment, yeah, in time, we have an opposition between science and, let's say, ontology, yeah? So science is about, let's say, nature, so about everything that shows itself, and ontology, as ultimately theology, is about something that is hidden behind the surface of the nature, something at the core, but not necessarily accessible. Yeah? Now, if we are living in second nature, so if nature is substituted by media, then what is theology? It's a conspiracy theory. Yeah? So a relation of conspiracy theory to technology is the same as a relationship of theology to positive sciences. Yeah, they build the same couple. Yeah, and so the question is, to what degree religion and ontological imagination can be simply suppressed. Yeah? So we can decide we do not go in this direction anymore. That was the argument of Hitler, for example, and his school. And that was they didn't like what I've written there. Because they thought you have to practice certain kind of enlightenment and suppress, yeah, the synthesis for the religion. But trained, as I said, by Marx and Nietzsche, I don't believe that. I think that this ontological imagination, theological imagination, and conspiracy theory, the answer to the question that we cannot subject to any kind of censorship. The question is simply there. We cannot decide from one time day or another. We never ask the question, what is behind it and what is at the core of it. It's a kind of very strange, and very cruel form of censorship, yeah, that is difficult to accept.
We will definitely discuss further what you already addressed with that which is behind the surface, because for your argument this is very important, but you just seduced me to pick up this idea or this argument: machines cannot be evil. This is a very important, historically, seen historically, a very important argument by philosophers like Wilhelm Flusser and others who were witnessing the Holocaust and had very, very existential experiences historically. I remember very well the discussions with Flusser, so will Wolfgang. He got not tired to say, humans, the other side, opposite to the machine, have done so evil. Let's give the machines a chance. They can't do worse. They might be able to do better. This is the, I think I may use this term, this is the utopian idea of the machinic, which drives quite a big proportion of, let's say, media theory of the last decades. How would you respond to that?
I think there are two theories about that. One is, of course, Platonic theory. Plato believed that if you are immortal, you are good. You are immortal if you are good, because you are evil only if you have some kind of deficit, yeah, if you lack something. But you are immortal, you don't lack something, yeah.
Desires.
Yeah, you can't go further, so there's no limit, yeah, and because there's no limit, you cannot become evil. So the immortal can't become evil. Christianity is much more difficult in this case, yeah, because we have a satanic principle, yeah, we have demonic principle. We can imagine something like eternal evil, yeah, or something like immortal evil, immortality. In any case, can be machine demonic? It's for me an open question, but that machine is divine. It's obvious, yeah? Because the only predicate of divine is immortality and machine is immortal. So if we follow Platonic model, machine cannot be evil, yeah, in this sense. But at the moment machine reflects its mortality, if it ever happens, it becomes evil. It becomes evil simply because if you have this situation of mortality and you're confronted with the possibility of non-existence, you begin to fight. You begin to fight yourself, you begin to be nervous about yourself and everything else. And so what happens is that your interest, your survival interest, becomes conflictual with survival interest of the others, and so you have all this way of those revolutions, you know, and all this thing. It is not eternal evil. It is not transcendental or the transcendent evil. It is not this kind of crucial evil. It's rather maybe Platonic evil. Yeah, so Platonic evil as an effect of finitude. Yeah, so far I would go. Yeah, I wouldn't say machine can be transcendentally evil. Yeah, even if I can imagine such a possibility, I wouldn't say so.
But how would you say if the let's say vanishing lines between nature on one hand and ontology on the other hand, as you formulated, between bios and techne, between nature and whatever we want to put on the other side, if these vanishing lines have become so complex that we can't really use them anymore as something like a clear analysis, where would you see nowadays these vanishing lines? Where do the separation lines run, if not anymore in this juxtaposition, in this clear juxtaposition, which you broke up with your argument, I know, but on the other hand, in your phenomenology of the media, with your whole idea that truth is an effect of the media, you are bringing them very close, of course, together again.
Yeah, but, you know, I somehow, yeah, it's stupid to say, but I somehow don't think in this direction, yeah? I don't think in this direction simply because if you begin to think about difference between bios and technology and all of that, you are involved in so much consideration, so much knowledge, so much theory. It's somehow too much, yeah? I would think a more reductionist way, yeah? And that's what I try to do in this phenomenology. Phenomenological way, phenomenological thinking is based on the reduction, yeah? So I reduce all the knowledge, I reduce all these elements, and then I ask myself simply, if I'm confronted with certain kind of surface, with certain kind of media, what happens in a relationship, my relationship to what is behind it, yeah? And of course, I can have some kind of inherited opinions about that, then it's religion. I can say, together with Derrida, that this quest is an impossible quest, that if I ask the question, what is behind it, then I always, then the process is infinite. Yeah, this quest is infinite. Derrida doesn't say it's bad, yeah, but it's infinite. Yeah. I don't think that it's infinite. Yeah, so it's partially was written against Derridian infinity, yeah, of this quest, simply because from time to time, it's like in a sense of, yeah, quest for the Hebrew God was infinite, yeah, but at a certain point in time, he sent his son, so to say. So he came, yeah, he understood that. And so we look for the internet, and he sends as his son, for example, Snowden, yeah, or whoever. Yeah. So there is a message coming from behind. Yeah, it's not like there is no message, only our quest here for the message. No, from time to time we get messages. Yeah, and if we get these messages, we have to learn to deal with them. Yeah.
I have another offer of an explanation where this vanishing lines, the lines of flight, I don't know if this is a very good English Redewendung, a very good translation of Fluchtlinien. When I read your books, and especially Under Suspicion, the Phenomenology of the Media, I can observe a new vanishing line, which makes your media thinking so unique. Wolfgang had addressed it already in his short introduction. The separation line within media thinking runs between thoughts which are art affiliated and thoughts which are completely disconnected from the intensity fields of the arts. I'm curious how you see that, to listen to your response to this assumption that your own media thinking, your own media theory, in fact, is a theory of the arts.
Yes, it is, of course. But not of arts as such, in general. Not of any kind of art, yeah? But very specific kind of art, yeah? Very specific kind of art, which is, of course, avant-garde art, that practices something like self-destruction in an attempt to destroy its own surface and show what is behind it. Yeah? If you look at development of avant-garde art, beginning with Cubism, yeah, so it's everything about fragmentation of the object, breaking of the surface, trying to create something like a split, yeah, in the middle.
Destroying film and all
destroying
these
film,
kind
but I don't know, fontana, yeah,
burning.
Burning fontana. It's not very far from what I don't know, Indian yogi made, or monks in a Byzantine time. Yeah, you destroy your body, and by destroying your body, for example, sitting in the same position like 30 years, you try to achieve this coming of the inner structure, inner core of your existence to the outside. Yeah, what they say, our aura. Yeah, aura is nothing else as soul, core of your existence coming outside. Yeah, it's interesting that and enveloping you. Yeah, it's interesting that, for example, as a second step after avant-garde, so as a early post-avant-garde reflection on avant-garde, Walter Benjamin speaks about loss of aura. But to get aura, you have to be an avant-garde artist. And so, actually, only avant-garde artist, so to say, turns this inner core, makes, so to say, second skin. Yes, and that is aura, basically. Second skin out of the inner core of his own essence. And this figure is, of course, is something that seduced me, and something that is related to art as a spectacular example of this practice beyond religious experience, yeah, so a secular practice, but practice of this time, so showing what is behind by breaking the surface, yeah. But I wouldn't say that all art is like that, so it's not a theory of art as such, I wouldn't say that it can be made outside of art. It can be made also outside of art. So it's only an example, but it's spectacular, obvious example, but it's only an example.
Let's perhaps discuss that a little bit concrete, because in your book Under Suspicion, you have a prominent example for discussing this relation between surface and what might be behind the surface. In Under Suspicion, especially in the chapter "The Media is Becoming the Message," you write, I quote it first in German because I translated it by myself, so it will be not identical with the American version. Das schwarze Quadrat Malevichs zeigt sich nicht bloß als ein Bild unter vielen anderen Bildern, sondern als eine plötzliche Offenbarung des verborgenen Bildträgers. In my translation for our audience, in my own translation, Malevich's black square does not merely show itself as an image among many other images, but as a sudden opening of the hidden image carrier. I don't know if this is a good translation, sign carrier, Zeichenträger. I think you use here the sense of Charles Morris, or the terminology of Charles Morris in the back of your mind. But the question or two questions which I would like to connect with that. First, I would like to ask you to comment a little bit more. You started already on this issue of this sudden opening. I would like to understand that better. What kind of quality is inside of this sudden opening? I think you would reject revelation as an alternative concept for opening. Does it have the quality of an event, a category which is so strongly present at the moment, for example, in Badiou's philosophy? What does that mean? Opening up a state of exception? Would you like to comment on that?
First of all, it's a black square is an interesting example. In a certain way, I just render what I just summarized what Malevich said himself about black square. Black square shows potentiality for any other possible image. So black square is a space out of which all possible images can appear. I always see that as a, let's say, TV screen, yeah? So TV screen is has the same form as black square Malevich, yeah? And so you have this, yeah, I mean, if it's on the off. So if you put it on, yeah, some images appear. But it's interesting that if you look into the direction of the event production, they have a completely different couple. Event itself cannot be inscribed in the archive. What is inscribed in the archive is documentation. And relationship of documentation to the event is the opposite one to relationship between artwork and the production. Really, really opposite. Because documentation documents the fact that the event is not there. So every creation of documentation does not prolong the life of event, but relegates this event into the past. So if production of reproduction was a production of illusion of transtemporality, production of documentation is production of the illusion of the past. Illusion of the past as lost presence. So we look at how people react to the document, always in the same way. They look at the documentation, so videos, photographs, and all that, and say, oh, how sad. Why I wasn't there 20 years ago? How wonderful. Yeah. That is feeling of loss, feeling of nostalgia, feeling of impossibility to go back. And it is obvious that if this person would be at the event, he probably wouldn't understand what's happening.
This is very interesting because this there were at least several developments running parallel to what you just explained. The documentary filmers became very prominent parts of the museum and of the galleries, Harun Farocki and others. Two political economies were running parallel. The lack of resources and money for the documentary filmers, especially those which were precisely political, doing political documents, and the economy which you just have described. This brings me to one question which I would like to stop this part of the discussion and then invite you, because it's already 10 o'clock. I just looked at the clock, at the watch, and invite you to join our dialogue and break it up, or however you want to do it. Reading on the new, on the first impression, requires quite a good knowledge on how economy functions. Karl Marx wrote his critique of political economy. You define his thought concept as an anti-philosophy in your book, which you have mentioned already, par excellence, including anti-critical. It's full of orders, of these kind of language constructions. The question is how useful historical dialectical materialism still is for your cultural and art and media criticism and your theories. The question has several grounds behind. One is that I think that archaeology, we talked about that before, is a strong attempt to write something like materialistic history without the burdens of historical dialectic materialism and the whole ideological ballast which is connected with that.
Well, first of all, when I speak about exchange, I'm very much influenced, of course, but it's more obvious in second book, in Under Suspicion. I'm very much influenced by Marcel Mauss, Bataille, and so. So understanding of exchange beyond commodity exchange, and understanding of symbolic economy beyond monetary economy with possible monetarization. And I would say, and I say that, I think even in the new, that exchange, that there is an exchange. For example, you can exchange capitalism by socialism, substitute socialism by capitalism. So there is a kind of exchange that is transcendent in relationship to monetary exchange, it's a more radical form of exchange. And of course I survived the other kind of exchange too. But going back to your question, yes, it's a central role. It's central role in two aspects. I'm of course dialectical materialist in two, I think, central points. First of all, I'm materialist. I do not believe in any kind of transcendence and anything ideal, and so on. That's quite clear. I believe only in the materiality of the world. But then I ask myself, and that is dialectical materialist, if you want. But dialectical materialism has nothing to do with dialectic as we know. Ask myself, if I am materialist, is it possible for me to reconnect my thinking to the totality of the world? So is it a possibility for me as a person, as an individual, to be totalitarian? And if you cannot be totalitarian and you cannot connect to the totality of the world, then you're just lost here and whatever you do makes no sense. So I think the majority of the population, at least a lot of thinkers, believed that at the moment you give up metaphysics, you exclude the possibility to reconnect to totality, because then you are, as a body, as a material body, as a material form of existence inside the material world, you are confined to specific situation, yeah, to specific place in a material world, yeah, defined by, I don't know, space and time, history, and that is this and that. Plus ethnic identity, plus this identity, plus this identity. So you're kind of, you get your place and you cannot get out of it. I think what's specific about dialectical materialism is that he doesn't believe in that because he understands material processes as being always in a flow. So there is such a thing as material flow. It is an old Heraclitus, yeah, no idea, of course, yeah. And you know that Stalin, for example, speaking about dialectical materialism, I quote this in one of my books, and not this one, the Communist Postscript, quotes, says, yeah, the flame that inflames itself, yeah, and then extinguishes itself, yeah. And he says, very good definition of dialectical materialism and revolution, yes. So you have kind of flow, you have a process, and this process is something that destroys, at least potentially, anything particular. So if you relate yourself to this destructive flow that destroys anything particular and any existing order whatsoever, any status quo in existing order. So you relate your thinking not to anything particular and to any order, but to the power, material power, that undermines, destroys it, then you regain the relationship to totality,